Hey Goblins, and welcome back to another video. My name is Heather and I am the host of the Aether system. If you're new here, I was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder in 2016, and that is a severe trauma disorder which impacts every aspect of my life. So as many of you know, our system recently detransitioned after about 5 years of taking testosterone. I know this may be a shock to some viewers because we started creating content after we were solidly into our transition. We made a short little video about it telling you guys what all was going on, but we wanted to go a little bit more into detail to answer some of your guys' questions and concerns. And I wanted to add in here something really beautiful that one of our longtime viewers said. I'll just read the quote. They said, "I view this as a retransition. It's impossible to revert back to who you once were in the past, because every experience changes us. So I view it as a transition to a new stage of life." We thought this was so beautiful, and it really spoke to us. Multiple people have used the word retransition in reference to the process that we're going through, and we really connected with that. Like, I'm not turning back into Diane. She was the host before Devin. I'm Heather. We are very different from the person that we were several years ago, and we don't want to go back to that even if we could. We stopped taking our hormones last year, months before I became the host. So the change in host wasn't entirely the reason that we did this. We realized that throughout our transition we felt a lot of anxiety around our gender, and we felt like we were hiding. Nowadays we feel much more at home in our body, which has been a very nice change. And now I want to be extremely clear about this. We completely support the trans community. Flipping our opinion and advocating against trans healthcare is not something that we ever plan to do. We want everyone to do what is correct for them, and we want to support them throughout their journey. This is something we'll advocate for until our last breath. What is right for us will not be right for everyone, and we support everyone doing what is right for them. We are never going to use our experiences to oppose the trans community. And it really upsets us that the people who detransition and do that are the ones who get the most platform. Also, I know that it's a common notion among people that if you detransition, you were never trans in the first place. But that statement doesn't really fit us. We were literally different people throughout the process. Yes, we inhabit one body, but we are quite separate. Devin was the host throughout about 90% of the transition, and he was male. After he fused and became Dorian, he refused to front and refused to host, flat out. And after a couple years of rapidly changing hosts, I came into existence as the current default/host. And I'm a cis female. The changes that testosterone did to our body don't really bother me because it was before my time. And I don't wish that we never took hormones, because I know that it was necessary for us to survive that stage of life. We do not feel as though we mutilated our body with hormones at all. The only thing we did in our transition was taking the testosterone. Getting an appointment for top surgery was kind of a challenge, so we never went through with that or any other surgeries. The lingering effects of the testosterone are pretty much just light, sparse facial hair and a lower voice. Shaving our face isn't that much of an inconvenience. And we've been doing voice training on our own, which has been going pretty good. We can sing pretty far into the soprano range again, which I appreciate, because we used to be in choir when we were younger, and we were definitely a soprano. And I know there may be some negative folks out there who will say, "Oh, you'll never get your original voice back." But joke's on them, because we don't even remember what our old voice sounded like. I'm blaming that on the dissociative memory loss, but we don't even remember what it sounded like. Plus, having a voice that can still go lower is something that our masculine alters enjoy. You'll see that a lot on this channel. They're definitely going to be doing that. Especially since this isn't a place where we'd have to mask as much, say, in comparison to if we went to like a store or hanging out with friends that didn't know about the DID. But we do not regret our transition. It was necessary at the time. And we won't say that it isn't possible for us to get back on testosterone someday in the future. That's why we're not pursuing things like laser hair removal for our facial hair. Because we may choose to go back on testosterone someday, but we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. Stopping our use of testosterone was kind of a gradual process. With dissociation, we would sometimes forget to take our weekly shot. After a while, the time between skipped shots would become longer and longer, And certain alters began to intentionally skip taking our shots, be it from a fear of needles or desire to just not take it. We began to taper off to see how we felt without taking the hormones, and we liked how we felt. Our last testosterone shot was in August of last year, and I only came into existence in January, so it wasn't my idea. And now I've got some questions from you guys that I'll answer. What pronouns are you using now? So our pronouns only slightly changed. Like, if you're referring to the collective of us, we prefer the plural they, them. But if you're referring to, like, just me, or if we have to be masking, then she, her is preferable. And if we're in a situation where we don't have to mask at all, then whichever alter is fronting, their pronouns. Do any system members feel more negative about it? That's one I kind of have to think about. There are a couple that are uncertain how to, like, change their style, like Dennis, for example. Yes, we have an alter named Dennis. No, that is not a reference to Split. He's just not certain as to how he wants to style the hair and clothing when he's fronting. Because for some of us, they really prefer to have, like, their own shirt or whatever. I'm not sure how that would work. Dennis may have to find a new shirt. But besides him, there hasn't been a lot of unhappiness about what we've done, which it's very nice, and we're glad that most of our system isn't upset by this. Does this change also include how anyone presents in the inner world? There's a few, actually. Yeah, like Dylan still uses he, him pronouns, but presents, like, much more femininely on the inside. I mean, Dylan's pronouns fluctuate. They're gender fluid, so any pronouns are fine for Dylan. And Simon, who needs to find a new name, is now she, her. And Octavius, which is an interesting situation. Octavius changed with the body, came into the system as Octavia, changed to Octavius, and now back to Octavia. She's very into pastel pink aesthetic. She's always been that way, regardless of gender presentation. Are any frequent fronters still male? Yeah, actually, we get quite a few male alters still fronting, and they really appreciate how we have long hair now. Because most of our males in the inner world, they have long hair. Because that's just how they roll, I suppose. So a lot of the guys are appreciating the hair and more ability to wear, like, dressy things out and about. What do the girls in your system think about this? Are they neutral or excited to see the body in female clothes, perhaps more often, and having long hair? They're very happy about that. They certainly appreciate being able to wear makeup more often, and the differences in clothes that we can get and wear now. And a lot more female alters are being discovered and fronting more often. Like Victoria, for example. I know she's already been mentioned here, but she's a very distinct one. And she appeared. Mentioning her name is bringing her forth. We're good. I don't want to switch in the middle of this. But yes, the female alters have been very excited about the hair and the change in style, and especially wearing dresses. Have any of the alters caught themselves having to change how they mask in some way? Yes, and I am laughing because that literally happened, I think it was yesterday. Either yesterday or the day before. So we were going to, like, a drive-through because Max had just had a doctor's appointment. We were waiting for the prescription. We're like, hey, let's just grab some lunch. So we went to this place that's pretty new, went through the drive-through, and Nova, who's fronting, if I haven't said that already, he had to stop himself for a minute and be like, oh wait, I'm doing the voice different now. Because usually he would make the voice go as low as he could, pretty much. And that's not the case anymore. We're trying to lighten the voice, use less gravel, and have a different vibe with it, I guess, instead of just the don't mess with me kind of thing. We want our voice to be lighter now. So some of our guys have to like catch up with that and be like, oh wait, we gotta do this now. Instead of like dropping the voice and acting all like sort of threatening. Last one is, do you think there could be a slight increase of detransitioners due to DID? Maybe, but I'm not positive. There may be a few here and there, but generally they figure themselves out and do what's right for them, or identify as something closer to gender fluid. Like one of our friends is that way. Like they were on testosterone solidly for a while, and then are, I believe, off of it at the moment. And they kind of just go with the fluidity of their gender and have gone with the label of gender fluid. That's also kind of why we like the she, they pronouns, because some of our guys don't really like to conform to gender standards. Like, we've always been a little bit gender non-conforming, and we'll probably always be that way. That's fine. We don't mind that at all. Thank you all for asking these questions, and thank you all for being so accepting of this change in our path. We want to remind you that our path is our own. What we are doing is in no way what you have to do. We make the choices that are best for ourselves, and we want to encourage you all to do the same, regardless of how that path looks for you. Take care of yourselves, love yourselves, and live your truth. We will cheer for you all the way. I hope that addressed most of your questions and concerns. If you have any more, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Subscribe to become a goblin and join the Gob Squad. And don't forget to click the notification bell if you want to know when we post something new. So thank you all for tuning in, take care of yourselves, and we will see you all in the next video.